Welcome to the second episode of the Light It Up podcast, where we learn how to be better Christians by looking at life experiences and looking at verses in the Bible and what they mean to us. We thank you for being here. We appreciate your support. This episode will be formatted a little differently. We are just going to give our extended testimonies for anybody out there that might want to get to know us better. We thank you for being here. There will be no outro on this, so we'll see you guys on the next one. God bless.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. I am from the Stockton Church. Back in 2018, my brother had cancer, and we went to go visit him. And a couple days before we left, my dad had prayed salvation with him. And the day after, when we got home, my sister had got a confirmation from God that my brother had went to heaven. And at that day, it made me realize about having a relationship with God and what it really meant, because I lived in a Christian household, so I know all the sermons and the preachings, but I've never really understood it into a personal level. So when I got that news, I was like really thinking like, what happens after death? So then I want to say like 2 days after I got saved, and I've been saved since.
Hello, my name is Wyatt Taylor. My parents took over the church in Los Banos, California when I was 3 years old. So I have been, now that I'm 15, I've been a pastor's kid for about 12 years. Still currently am a pastor's kid, and I thank God for that. As far back as I can remember, being a kid in church, it's something you take for granted. Taking into consideration now all the blessings I had as a kid, and the blessings I had as a teenager now, especially with the way some teenagers live now in their homes. It makes me very grateful that I am blessed with the life I have today. But growing up as a church kid, you take that for granted. You take the covering of God, the blessing from your family, from your parents' sacrifices. You take that blessing from God on your family, you take that for granted. And I would say I definitely faked Christianity. It kind of depends on how you define fake, because I think personally I believed in God, but I wasn't serving Him, and that led to having one life in church and one life at school. I had a lot of influences coming from school at that time. A lot of influences from my friends, not necessarily bad influences, but influences that were not Christ-like. And I lived that way for a while, taking the influence from my friends, taking the influence from people that didn't have God in mind. And so as I'm living life, going to church, believing in God, not serving Him, and then going to school and being influenced, that went on for about a while. And then, March of 7th grade year, that's when COVID hit, and that shocked me as a kid, kind of just as a teenager. It hit me. It hit hard. Just not in a bad way, but just it was so surprising out of nowhere. School's canceled for a month, and the next thing you know, it's canceled for the rest of the year. And I did get to spend a lot of time with my family, which I'm very grateful for. But the thing about isolation is it gives you a lot of time to think about, one, the people you spend your time with, and two, yourself. You don't have anybody to think about. You don't have the influences from your friends, which I lost that. So I lost the approval of my friends of what I was doing. I lost the influence of my friends, and I kind of realized that my life was controlled by my influences. And looking at myself and looking at the choices I had made, the influences I had taken, and the choices I had made to not serve God, that hit me hard because it was a pride issue. Like I never been able to look at myself that deeply before, because I was always judged, not judged, but influenced by others. So as long as I had their approval, I think I was okay with that. So my personality was shaped by that. And I looked at myself, and I just had to make a decision. Was I going to continue living by the influence of my friends, or was I going to get serious and serve God? So I struggled with that thought for a while, just kind of debating what I was going to do, and with the help of my family and with the help of my pastor, my dad, I got through it, and I made the right choice. I got saved, and although it was hard to serve God in that time, I believe I did my best, and church came back. I was able to serve God, and I was able to finally live, I think, the way not only that God wanted me to, but live the way that I wanted to as a Christian. And that really ministered to me, and that was, although I had already been saved, that was something that really improved my relationship with God. And that was a great, that was a huge landmark in my walk with God, or a point in my walk with God, or I don't know what you'd call it, but that was something that really changed my relationship with God. Although I did have one, it changed my relationship with God, because now that I was living under the influence of God, and under the rules of the Bible, the laws that God had given us, it felt much better than to live by the influence of my friends, and that was something that really improved my walk with God and changed my walk with God. I've been saved ever since, and I thank God for the time He's given me and for the opportunities He's given me. I thank God for that, and I am truly, truly blessed that I have my family, that I have my parents, and that my parents sacrificed for me. I am truly blessed, and I acknowledge the fact that I have a better life than many teenagers, and I thank God for that.
Hey, my name is Rafael, and I'm from the Stockton Powder's house. And so growing up, I grew up in a Catholic family, and not knowing anything about Christianity, not knowing anything about Jesus. I was just doing all the Catholic things just because my parents told me so. And so growing up, all I knew from my past was just constantly seeing both my parents fight, constantly seeing them yell at each other or cuss each other out. And I was just very sad to see, at a young age, I was just sad to see both my parents constantly fighting, not seeing any kind of love in my house. So then at 10, my mom left my dad And during that same age, one of my closest friends showed me porn, and I became addicted to it from that age. So continuing on with life, and 2 more years technically, becoming empty after both my parents separated, being depressed and addicted to porn. One of my friends, I was just empty, just living, acting like I was okay when I really wasn't. Then at 12, one of my friends invited me to play football with him, to join this Pop Warner League with him. And halfway through the season, he quitted. So I was like, still playing by myself over there. So I was like, all right. So then, started playing football at 12. I would put 120% in every single game, 120% every single practice, trying to search for something into that game, but not finding anything in that game. So then after a while, in June 28 of 2020, 2 years after, when I was 14, I got invited to this baptism. My cousin was getting baptized, and that same day I got saved. And I remember that day. Remember first walking into the church. I didn't really go to Christian churches or anything. All I've been to is a Catholic church, and I always see how big it is. It looks like a old time building and all that, and like a whole bunch of seats and little things on the bottom of the seat so you could take a knee and all that. And just going to this church, but I'm like, this is hecka small. I'm not used to this. And I remember the first thing I see was this Asian man come out and shake my hand, and I was like, what the heck? And the Catholic churches, they don't do nothing. They just let you walk in and all the way. And I was like, dang. So then going to the preachings, I sat down next to my mom, and that day I wasn't really thinking of getting saved. I wasn't really thinking of going to church or anything like that. And I remember the preaching. I remember sitting next to my mom, and I just started crying. And bawling my eyes out. And my mom was like, "What, Mijo, what's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I remember after service, after the church, I didn't know anything. I didn't know the pastor. I didn't know who ran the church or anything about the people there. But I remember going up to my cousin, Faith, and she's the one who came up to me, and she was like, "Rafa, you want to get saved?" I'm like, I was thinking the exact same thing. So then we told my cousin that was getting baptized that day. She's like, "Come in the back and meet the pastor." I'm like, okay. So we met the pastor, and I remember seeing this tall black man. He's like 6'2". I'm like, what the heck? He's like a tall. That's the one thing that was just sticking in my mind. He's like, damn, my man's tall. And so then going to that baptism, I remember them saying a testimony. I was like, what's a testimony? I don't know what a testimony is. Then I was just like, I want to know who's God, who's really God. I want to meet him. And I'm getting baptized that day. So I've been going to church ever since that day in June 28 of 2020. I don't remember if I said the day or not. But then after a while, after a year, me going to church, joining ministry after 6 months, then July 18, that was the day I quit football. So 3 years of playing football, I quitted. And that Monday, I remember. So before quitting football, let me get to the beginning before that. So I remember that Monday, I remember just God hitting me. You're gonna be pastor one. I was praying. I wasn't really praying. I was just praying for people or something. I don't remember exactly what I was praying for, but I was just praying. And I don't know, it just hit me. You're gonna be a pastor one day. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know what to do about that. And I remember that Wednesday. I remember that. Then that Wednesday, a few weeks before that Wednesday, my pastor came up. He was preaching, and after service, he was like, he gave me a word. That one day I'm going to come to this crossroad, and I'm going to have to choose between two things. And when I was there, I was like, this guy's crazy. He has no idea what he's talking about. Mind, I was saved too, so it's a trip. So then, coming Wednesday before, not Monday, when he went Wednesday service, my pastor came up to me in the night, and after service, he's like, Rafa, you're gonna have to come to this crossroad right now. Are you gonna continue playing football, or are you gonna follow God for the rest of your life? And he didn't phrase it like that. He phrased it more loving, more caring, but that's what I got. And that's true. It's not no if what's about it. If I'm going to follow God, or I'm going to play football and continue to live in sin and continue to be empty. Because I wasn't really following God that day, or during that time I was playing football. So then I remember just telling him, I can't be saved. I can't stay saved playing football. So that Friday, I came to my coach. I came to practice, and I was like, this is it. I'm gonna practice one more time, and after practice, I'm gonna say, Coach, I quit. But then, unbeknownst to me, we were getting a uniform that day. We're getting a helmet, shoulder pads, and everything. And I didn't get to practice. So I was like, I came to the practice for the thing, but we're waiting. And I was like, I gotta tell him, I gotta quit. So then I never got my equipment. I went up to the coach. I told him, Coach, I quit. I'm not gonna play football no more. He was like, why? I was like, for God, for Jesus, God, Coach. I'm crying my eyes out saying that. And he was like, I go to church on Sundays. And I'm like, it's way more than just going to church on one day, on Sunday's church. Coach. It's way more than just going to church on Sundays, Coach. And I was like, okay, goodbye. I walked away. Then I remember telling my teammates, I was like, guys, I'm not going to come back no more. I had fun playing with you guys, but I'm going to follow Jesus. And, all right, see you later, Rafa. And on that car ride home, my mom was yelling at me. She was sad. She was crying, sad. She was even cussing at me. What do you think? What do you think you're doing? She thought Pastor told me to quit. And she was just cussing me. She said, what are you going to do with your life? You were good at it. Why did you listen to him? I told my mom, I'm going to become a pastor one day. I'm going to preach the gospel behind a pulpit. And I'm going to have a church of my own. And I'm going to do God's will, and I'm going to see people get saved. And so far, I've been trying to do that. I've been writing sermons. I've been doing Bible studies at my school. So the week after boot camp, I remember me and my cousin Faith got started up. We were like, we're gonna bring our Bibles to every single day, and only lasted a week, but the thing is, still made an impact. And so then, before that week, well, me and Faith was like, we should start a club at the school. We should start a club to tell people about Jesus. And Faith runs into the teacher. There's a club already. He's the advisor of it. And he tells Faith about it. And we're like, okay, we'll join. And we came one meeting, and then me and Faith just took over it. And I'm the president of the club, and my cousin is the vice president. And we've been doing Bible studies. And the week before my fall break, last week, it was technically 3 weeks ago, the club had 8 visitors. And all 8 visitors got saved that day. And a week afterwards, 11 people showed up. And 1 more person got saved. Let me say, God is amazing. God did that, not me. I didn't go out to invite people. I didn't do nothing. Because last year, there was nobody in my club. There was only 2 or 3 people coming. And that's it. Let me say this one more thing. Church kids, I envy you guys. I'm not saying this to look upon you guys, look up to you guys and say, oh, look what I did. And I'm not even a church kid. No. I envy you guys because you guys know way more than the pastors, and you know this. You know this. You know the Bible more than me. The fact is, you guys know more than the pastors we first sent out in a fellowship. Now's not the time to be playing church kid. Now's the time for revival. To put your car in full gear. Because revival is going to come with us. God's going to use the youth of this time to reach the world. It's not going to be the old generation anymore. It's going to be us. We know how it feels to be a teen this year. We know how it feels. Their years are passed behind them. That doesn't mean they can't give us information of what they used to do. But the thing is, we're going to be leading the charge now. Keep on following God, y'all. And thank you guys for watching this. I hope you guys enjoy. Much love. Again, this is Rafa. Stocking Powder's house. Repping that big S.